I think we finally have everyone. Yeah. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, Hitesh. I hope I am audible to you.
Great, great. So I would like to first of all welcome all the panelists to this webinar today, and also to all the attendees that are here. We have more than 250 attendees already joined in. So today, first of all, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar where we are going to discuss about how COVID-19 has impacted the real estate industry. I'll start by introducing myself. I am Hitesh Agnani, one of the co-founders of the Propertist.com. We are a real estate property portal catering to agents, home sellers, home seekers, and developers. We also provide digital marketing services and lead generation services to developers and real estate brokers. So with me today, I have some of the experts of the industry who would give you insights on how exactly has COVID-19 affected and affected the real estate industry, and how exactly what changes are going to come in the industry because of COVID-19. So let me start by introducing the panelists in alphabetical order. We have Mr. Abhishek Bhatkul. Abhishek Bhatkul is a Vice President, Sales and Marketing for Joyville at Shapoorji here. They are India's leading property consultant and a co-founder at Sai Estate Management and Skills Institute, a premier institute dedicated to skilling real estate professionals. He is a sought-after speaker and thought leader in the Indian real estate, and anchors a popular television show in Republic TV, Realty Plus. Then we have Mr. Kapil Kishore. Mr. Kapil Kishore is a business head, real estate Prudent Corporate Advisory. With 20 years of experience in real estate and financial market, he's been with Prudent for the past 13 years, where he's responsible for driving certain businesses like mutual funds, stock broking, and currently heading the real estate division. Then we have Mr. Nikhil Trivedi. He is a sales professional with more than 17 years of experience in corporate sales, channel sales, and real estate sales. He's worked with conglomerates like Blue Star, Daikin, ICICI, Times of India, and Lodha Group in the past. Currently, he's managing the national channel partner relationship at Kolte Patil Developers Limited, based out of Pune. Yeah, so that is the introduction to all the panelists. Now, let me start with asking questions to the panelists here. First of all, I would want to ask you, Abhishek, what do you think is going to be the impact on the real estate pricing? This is the biggest question that we've seen coming across from all the end users, the home seekers, even the industry. Do you think COVID-19 is going to impact the pricing big time?
हितेश आपने पहली बॉल पे बाउंसर डाल दिया. आई थॉट कि थोड़ा वार्म अप होगा. आप सीधे पॉइंट पे आ गए. हम प्राइसिंग पे आ गए. आप सीधे. Typically, that's what is there in customers' mind also. So yes, I think media is fueling a lot of expectations on these grounds. They have been quoting or misquoting some of the industry experts about the pricing part. Just want to give you some background that real estate industry in the last 3-4 years, with various reforms like demonetization, GST, RERA, has been severely impacted. And because of these reasons, there have been no price escalations as such in the market, which itself means a correction. So while I can't speak for most of the developers, because real estate is more of a local phenomena, but I can say for most of the corporate developers that it is we are not working with those kind of margins. Already there are a lot of cost escalations happening, so I don't see any kind of price decrease happening. Now, what we have been doing at Shapoorji Pallonji is we understand the current uncertainties, and we have been able to focus more on the flexibility part. How can we give flexibility to customers in terms of ease of booking amount, ease of payment plans, flexibility initially when we were in the lockdown phase. We are now looking forward to the unlock phase, as so to say, as the central government says. And we have received a decent response. So with these flexible options, customers with the uncertainty in mind is able to select the kind of inventory. And this is the response which I'm quoting to you. We have seen in Joyville across all the 4 locations, be it Calcutta, be it NCR, be it Hinjewadi in Pune, or be it Virar in Mumbai. So I believe that there is a flight to quality. Customers are, becoming more choosy. And I'm not saying it's just the corporate developers. There are many other local developers also who are doing a very good job. They have a good track record. So customer obviously is very prudent and is being selective, and customer is choosing between the flexibilities. So I have not seen prices going down, and I don't see that happening also, because honestly there are no margins for price to go down. But yeah, definitely with the flexibilities which are there, which many developers are providing, the customers are getting a good deal, and are able to plan their finances better. So that's how I look at this scenario.
Okay. Okay. Coming to Amit, do you think this is the right time, in these uncertain times? Do you think this is the right time to buy a property? Currently, do you see a lot of buyers in the market?
So I am actually not a very I am not a big fan of talking about property sales in COVID-19, especially when people here are trying to save lives and
Right.
stay healthy. So I will not. My company is not come out with any fictional inflated numbers where we have sold hundreds and crores of inventory, because we are typically not under the pressure of banks or an investor to give out quarterly results which will get me my next tranche of funding. So
Right.
to start with, this is my stand as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And whether this is a good time to buy property, my answer to this question is that the kind of people who buy properties are not the ones who will look at home loans at 5.5% or repo rates, or what respected Piyush Goyal ji is saying, or how the developers body is responding. So people who are buying today and would continue to buy are the kind of people who have realized that no state in the country can be called their own state till the time they don't have a shelter
Right.
in the same state or the city where they work in. So the buying trends are going to change. I don't see real estate as an asset class that will give you any returns going forward. And if you
Right.
don't believe Amit Wadhwani, you can speak to 5 NRIs from downtown Dubai. You can speak to somebody from Long Island in the United States, and they'll give you unbiased opinion about what they think about whether corporate or no corporate Indian developers and their growth trends, their execution policies. So I'm not saying that there isn't a problem, but I am absolutely against hard sales in COVID-19, for that matter, in any exigency situation. To talk whether I'm giving you a 30, 40, 50% discount is a completely ridiculous idea in my view. We as Indians and as a part of the fraternity need to have more sensitivity up our sleeve before we really talk about sales. I think this is a time where we should look at consolidation and sustenance than anything else.
But don't you think the government, a couple of ministers have put out a message to reduce the prices and sell whatever unsold inventory is left? Don't you think now people will start expecting that
Yeah,
from
I
the
tell you,
developers?
Hitesh, I'll tell you. There are two things to it. A, the people who hold the inventory will always, say there is no price correction happening. The consumers would like to believe that there is a correction happening.
Right.
More than this, everybody is talking about the price, but I feel more important, this is the product. The product has become outdated today. So if you take any micro market, in 2004, the carpet areas were different, the balconies were different, the way the product was designed was different. Typical developers feel that if I'm offering 30, 40% discount, then inventory should sell. I don't see that happening. So I am not going to do any builder bashing here, because I don't believe builder bashing can move markets or improve markets. The one thing that we need to look at is how do we ensure that more end users come on board, more people occupy those apartments. Will they appreciate the product? The mistake that our industry has done is we have created too much stock without any research, no scientific approach. So even if I reduce my pricing by say 10, 15, 20, 40%, unless there is an organic liking towards that product, it is going to be very difficult. Even discounts are all reduced loan rates or subsidies or PMAY is fine. There can be enablers, but you cannot really encourage an Indian home buyer today only with reduced prices. He needs to like the kitchen, he needs to like the bedroom, the wife needs to like the lobby, the kids need to like the amenities, and these are things which have become more important than pricing.
Right, right. True that, no doubt. The product has to be worthy enough for people's
The
liking for them
product,
to.
real estate product today has a shelf life. Is anyone talking about it? Do you read any articles that real estate has a shelf life? I would like to believe, and we have been saying this for the past 6 years, that real estate today comes with a shelf life. If you create in 2018, you don't sell in 2020, by 2022, वो भूत बंगला हो जाएगा.
True.
You understand? And you can continue to be in denial. The entire industry can continue to be in denial. That's okay. It's not my stock. But since you're asking me a question, we need to sell, and we need to sell today and not really hard sell. Ensure that your product speaks. Pricing is different. I'll just take the last 10 seconds. I'll tell you, I don't see the necessity for developers to even reduce prices.
Right.
I know of projects even in COVID-19 have sold at a very, very high pricing, unimaginable pricing, because the product was so appetizing. The builder was fantastic. The rep of the builder was good. He came out clean. He was not playing games with subvention schemes, 10, 80, 20, and not things like that. So as long as you come out clean, you can command the price, you can impress buyers. I don't think there is a big problem here.
Right. Taking that
Hitesh, I
question
kind of
forward.
agree. Just wanted to pitch in what Amit is saying. I think this is music to our ears because I keep getting feedback because we work in various markets, especially NCR, of these schemes like 1090 and which don't give any cash flows to developers. I don't know how they plan such schemes and how would they able to ensure quality and timely delivery. And also, yeah.
And we all know where the NBFC's promoters are today. So that's a discussion for
yeah. And also the fact that we are seeing a clear trend where, in the last year, we have had 2 big launches and successful launches in Hinjewadi and Gurugram. And we are seeing a good amount of end users coming in. So we see it has already been an end user market. Post-COVID is more so of an end user market and customers are investing a lot of time in understanding the product. So that's a good sign and I hope this builds up further.
Right. But subvention schemes were banned by RBI recently, one day. So we don't know yet. There are some developers that are coming up with these schemes.
No, these are developer subvention where the developer doesn't. Yeah, developer subvention. Yeah.
Okay. So they are not from the banks. They are from the developers end.
Yes.
Yeah. So taking the conversation forward, I would like to bring in Mr. Kapil. Mr. Kapil, do you think in such scenarios, branded in known developers will benefit from the change in buying preferences of people because they would now prefer going in with a grade A or a branded developer?
I think Hitesh, this branded thing and non-branded thing didn't start with COVID. It started with demonetization. Okay. After demonetization, then RERA came. Afterwards, GST came. COVID is very clearly imprinting this in the mind of the people. Okay. Previously, if you see the outcome of any slowdown, it's a stress period, whatever is called mandi, jo bhi bolte hum log usko. Okay. What happened in the last couple of years is like bigger players have phased out. They have vacated the spots and given the positions to stronger players like Godrej, Shapoorji, Mahindra, Tata. If you see, particularly in the areas like Mulund, Bando, these weaker players exited and they have given the position to the new players. These players have strong balance sheets, and with good parents, client gets accountability. समझो कल को कोई distress time आ गया, okay, these parents can step up and they can actually the comfort of delivering my home gets always good. But saying this, pricing will also play a major part. For example, if any node, grade A developer is at 20% or 25% higher cost than the local developer, then that will make the client actually think twice before buying that graded developer. Because say if I have 1 crore property which is getting at 75 lakhs in a local developer and 1 crore in a branded developer, then the client will actually go for the local developer compared to a graded developer. Having said this, we have one more category of developers who are the local developers, but they have a strong record of delivery and no debts. They do not have any debt or very low debts. These people will also benefit a lot.
Okay. So you're saying that if a non-branded developer is offering a better price, a buyer would prefer him over the branded developer. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I will say that, but provided if he has a strong track record of delivery and quality. If it's a new developer for the first time, then no, he'll know it's not standing any position.
Okay. The same question to I would like to bring in Mr. Nikhil. Nikhil, do you agree on this point that a local developer can benefit if he has a good track record? Don't you think?
First of all, good
graded
evening to all
developer
of you.
would be Good evening.
See, I completely agree with what Kapil is saying, and taking the point, I'll just take this point of Amit also forward. That gone are the days when you can just offer anything on the platter and customer will jump in to buy. People are actually definitely going in with the repute of the builder and trying to figure out what is basically their need for, and taking the what Kapil is saying, that yes, the time of local builder. We have already started to see that there's a consolidation happening. So much of guys in NCR and other markets are actually not able to deliver. There were a time when these guys were top-notch builders at one point in time in the country. So whether people will believe a guy who's not branded and able to deliver is what basically people need to look forward for. But I'm sure that the guys who are actually branded, who already have a repute behind their back and who have already delivered, I'm sure people will definitely trust them going forward.
Okay. So one more question that I had for you, Nikhil. Do you think now the buying preferences of people would change now? They would prefer a home near their place, and then they would prefer a location over an amenity, like a project with all the amenities which is far off, or a standalone building which is close to his workplace. What do you think a person would prefer in these times?
See, I think Hitesh, to be very honest, I believe since the day people started to look forward for the property, I think the first thing they freezed on is the location. So
Right.
I would not see that this is changing. The preference of location will never change. The location becomes the first and the most important criteria for anybody. I think the location and the price, and then the other things come in the factor. So I believe location will definitely remain still the first and the foremost important criteria for buying a property. I'm not very much sure about whether how many guys will be still able to take the jump as long as amenities are concerned. Until unless that amenity is a specific USP of a product, I really don't believe that people will just jump in for the specific amenity if somebody is offering. There are guys who are actually offering 30, 40, 50, 70 amenities in a township. I don't know whether how many guys are able to even recollect those 70 names in a township.
True.
So I'm not very sure that this 70, 80, 90 amenity which people are offering, people will jump in for. But yes, as long as location is concerned, and with this corona scenario going in the place, I'm sure people will still prefer the close as possible homes, and then definitely go for the location which actually suits them. And so I believe location will definitely play and continue to play the important role in buying of a property.
Right. I would like to ask Abhishek. Abhishek, do you think instead of these lavish amenities, now providing an amenity like a business center or a shared workspace inside a project would make sense?
So Hitesh, I mean, there are many ideas floating around. I think it's too early to kind of freeze upon these. It's a good time to actually do a survey and gauge customer sentiments, and a lot of developers are doing it. We at Shapoorji are also trying to assess that situation. From customers' point of view, what they would have observed in this lockdown is that those with having certain amenities or open spaces in the project would have got some breathing space, whereas those with the standalone would have been restricted because they would not have been able to go out and walk on the street or the nearby park. So from that point of view, open spaces is something which customer will look forward to. Co-working spaces within the society, might as well he works from home also. So these are some of the thoughts which are there in these ideas are there. we would be doing a customer sentiment, assessment, and then we can figure out whether such amenities are required. But definitely, open spaces is something which has, become a lot more important. And whatever we took for granted now, I think customers will appreciate this fact within the premises. Just to add to the previous question which we had asked for Nikhil, location is not only about the workplace perspective, but also of the social infra, about the education for their children, about the hospital for the medical attention. So location plays a bigger role, and I don't see because of COVID only this is going to change. So social infra is very important for any developer or any project to sustain.
Okay. Okay. I would like to bring in Amit. Amit, do you think, you've been talking a lot about PropTech and how things are going to change when these developers and everyone adopt technology. Do you think people will be able to adapt to this technology? Do you think the end users, we are talking about VR, we are talking about AR, and so many new things that are coming up. Do you think people are ready? The end users, the buyers are ready for this technology? Do you think they'll be okay with this?
Let me tell you, if you could do a quick survey and of all the stalwarts who have been trying to sell, the buyers who are actually cutting out checks today are not really looking at the internet and looking at listings or which broker is selling what, whether it's a portal or whether it is, so we need to understand that technology can be an enabler. I can look at, a walkthrough, I can look at AI, I can look at machine learning, I can get in coding, I can try and do everything what the world of technology offers. But we need to believe that we are Indians, and on Indian soil, real estate has to be bought and sold with hands going out, you looking at the sample flat, you looking at the structure, you going there on the land. And we are teaching the world how to buy real estate, especially after what Dubai and UAE has done, what US has done, what has happened in Australia, what has happened in other parts of the world. And real estate is not the place where, with due respect to so many big brands like the Tatas and Godrej, and I'd like to say yes, Shapoorji as well, I don't see people transferring more than say about 25 lakh rupees of intent fees, though I am a big of expression of interest. Collecting 500 dirhams and then calling it a booking, and then collecting thousands of such 500 dirhams, and then collecting maybe $100 million US from General Atlantic or many of the other funds is not the kind of business that real estate players would want to do. So yes, technology is important. We have started with imsci.in. We get close to about 8 lakh viewers per day. We've got land on the platform, but we still getting checks. Our gateway guy is extremely disappointed with us that you've got us on board, but there are no payments happening on the gateway. Many of the other experts will also show me the last time a 50 lakh rupee transfer was done anywhere around the world for an Indian flat which was purchased without the investor or the end user looking at it. मुझे आप एक ब्रांड बता दीजिए, गोदरेज या टाटा से बता दीजिए किसने 50 लाख रुपए ट्रांसफर किए हो without really looking at. So coming to the point, I don't see, and this is also not right. The RERA is gifted by NCR to the country. Okay, the mess in NCR has gifted RERA to all of us. We know the kind of mess, hedging, trading on properties, showing you a brochure and then saying that this changed. And because sadly, there is no embargo on advertising, there is no guideline on advertising. I can call a 1 BHK which is 200 square feet also a 1 BHK. I can call a 1 BHK which is 800 square feet also a 1 BHK. You understand? So there is no regulation, there are no guidelines when it comes to communication. Yes, there are guidelines as per the RERA law in terms of what is carpet area, what is sellable area, all of that. But then if I choose to buy a Mumbai Mirror tomorrow morning and say, Amit Wadhwani is Ranbir Kapoor, is anyone stopping me? Is anyone stopping me? Right. So we need to, as an industry, also understand what are we communicating. When you travel on Mumbai-Pune highway, 80% of the hoardings are bought, 80% of print and outdoor is bought by real estate developers, and then we all of us say that हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है and we are struggling, we are not able to complete projects. But you are advertising, but you are marketing, you are doing lead generation. Even in COVID-19 or Times app, we get 10, 80, 10 popping coming up. So I am not a big critic, but I just want to draw some light as to you need to put the money where the mouth is. You need to focus on execution. Technology will help you to get consumers come into your way. But for you to really close the deal, you need a human being on the other side to say, yes, sir, sorry, sir, thank you. If the developer does not complete the project, I am not going to leave my job for my next jump in my CTC because the industry requires leaders. I am here to stay. These sentences will infuse a lot of confidence in the buyers, and looking at the execution of the project, that's how we need to move at least for the next 5 quarters.
Yeah, I would like to add here to what Amit is saying. There is definitely no denying of the fact that digital cannot replace the human intervention, which is basically required to do a transaction, especially in real estate. Because basically it's a tangible asset, and you don't buy real estate, you don't buy your home every off and on in your life. So maybe once or twice you buy a home, and hence you want to be double sure about what you're buying and where you're buying and all that stuff. But taking the discussion to the other side, imagine what anybody has thought that 15 years back that Amazon or Flipkart will do wonders what they're doing today. So I'm sure there's a matter of time before people start to realize that there's a trend and technology influx is happening and people are actually shifting. It's just very early stage at this point in time, but we don't know. After 15, 20 years, we don't know whether there is the complete change of a sales cycle.
Yeah, I'll respond to that. So either we agree that real estate is like FMCG and consumer durables, and it has to be treated like FMCG and consumer durables and bought and sold on Amazon.com, then let us not trade on properties. My wife bought an amazing toy for the son, and I am not thinking that the toy will appreciate next year, sir. I just want to use it. I just want my kid to play with it, and that's about it. Right? The day we custodians of the industry realize that real estate is not a tradable option, it is not an option to your equities, and let's not compare real estate to mutual funds. Let us not say that 5,000 में लो, मैं आपको 7,000 रुपए में next year बेच के देता हूँ. This has to stop. If this stops, then yes, your project can be listed on Amazon.com also, and I'm sure you will find buyers for it also.
So yeah, being
Hitesh, I had a point.
Space,
I had a point on this one, but before I make this point, I think I'm sure all of us agree that Amit is on more hoardings in Mumbai and Pune than Ranveer Kapoor. So he is more popular for us. So, I mean, the limited point which I want to make from my experiences, we never thought that, we can actually give a presentation to a customer online. Why would he spend so much time? But I think customer will use technology to filter out. Earlier days, customer would visit 10 projects, invest a month to go around and then kind of decide or shortlist. So customer will do that shortlisting online and then would go only 1 or 2 projects which have been shortlisted to decide. I think that's what is going to happen immediately. And then, who knows, technology is changing the things. So how, as Nikhil mentioned, 10, 15 years down the line, what happens, we don't know. But right now, customer is going to use this tool to filter. So just like you kind of buying a mobile, you compare 4, 5 mobiles on Compare India or many websites. Customer would like to spend time, research, shortlist properties, and then probably visit them.
True. So even being into the online space and advertisement space, we used to have this conversation with all our clientele, and we used to discuss when will this happen that property will be sold online. So I always had an opinion that I don't think property can be sold online. All you can do is maybe take the booking amount by showing your property and backed by a good brand name. If you have a good brand name, you have a good repute in the market, and your property appeals to people, then max you can do is take a booking amount which should be 100% refundable. And I think that is the best way technology can take you.
And one more point I would like to add here is by not being afraid to take names, I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of what 99 Acres and MagicBricks.com has done for the industry. And it has taken vintage plus confidence building in the B2B community, I would say more than B2C. And on the other end of the spectrum, look at what Housing.com has done. Of course, BCCL backed MagicBricks.com and InfoEdge backed 99 Acres have been in business for decades now. But Housing.com that came in few years and was housing everywhere. You need to understand that real estate is not like carbonated water which you open and it just goes off like this. You need to treat it with maturity. You need to treat it with vintage. You cannot come in 2020 and say, I want to create another site. I mean, it takes a lot of time. It takes time. You need to do those 3 lakh codings. You need to do the newspapers. You need to get punished by RERA a couple of times. Always facing criticism all the time. And it takes a lot to build a real estate company, whether it's a real estate intermediary company or a PropTech company or a FinTech company or a small project which could be just say a 20 apartment in any of the micro markets. अगर आप ये चीजों को जिद करना चाहोगे तो नहीं होगा. I feel real estate, the major pillar is vintage and confidence building.
Right.
Okay,
So,
I just mentioned something. Sorry, Desh.
Yeah.
See, recently HDFC has launched a car loan product. I don't know, HDFC and Maruti, they have combinedly launched it, where the customer actually does not have to go away from the house, and the car will be delivered to his place. This can happen because the client does not go for a car registration somewhere. But in a home loan product, we have to actually, the client has to go to the registrar's office, buy that. So in the near future, we cannot see this process change happening that online property big here. So technically, it does not support. Because what we are doing today in this COVID scenario is we are just advertising it. Online property le lo, and like Amit mentioned, everybody is advertising that we sold 1,000 crores, we sold 500 flats, we sold 1,000 crores. So what here is happening is it's just we are adding one more step. Okay.
Right.
Since the client has got nothing to do at home today, so we are calling him. उसके पास भी time है, वो pitch सुनता है पूरा, and we assure him कि सर आप एक extension of interest दे दो, आपका पूरा पैसा हम refund कर देंगे. So 100% guaranteed है that we will refund you the entire money. So the customer gets confident.
Interested.
जाने वाला है. So after this scenario will happen, what will happen is the client will actually come to the site. He will see the entire locality, whatever promises we have as sales people we have mentioned in the pitch, ये इतना मिलेगा सर, ये मिलेगा, वो actually है कि नहीं है. So these all steps will happen. What we have actually done is we have introduced one more step, added one more step to the entire process of the sale, that is video conferencing. So these are mutations. They don't happen suddenly in day-to-day life. You can't, like Amit said, you can't just sell a property like a washing machine or a mobile phone on the Amazon. Specs पढ़ लिया, okay, अच्छा है खरीद लो. This will not happen. It will take time. But अच्छा चीज क्या है? Now we are learning what is 360. Practically the 3D Vista software started learning how to create. So this will be a dawn of new era, like the banking industry which we have seen. Today banking industry for a small kid is like it's an app and an ATM. But 20 years back, it was a pure bank. So it takes around 15-20 years to emerge. So maybe after 15 years, they might be actually, I and Amit will be discussing, sir, itna lot hai, aap apne site pe dal ke bech do. So that can happen.
So what you're saying is the sales process is going to change. Maybe video conferencing is going to be a part of the sales process. But at the end of the day, people would want to, even after the EOI, they would want to come onto the site, have a look at it, and go by the whole traditional way of buying a property instead of what people are thinking that property can be sold online. That is not going to happen in the near future.
But Hitesh, just to add to what you're saying, I think Abhishek has also pointed out very categorically that yes, there's new addition to the entire sales process, that the video conferencing has been added. But that does not mean that the process of visiting a site has been eradicated. It's just to facilitate a client who's not at this point in time able to come to the site, in order to facilitate this entire experience of buying a property for someone. Hence, this process of entire webinar or entire digital process has been, or live webinar has been added to the entire sales process. This may not last long, but once the sites start to open and operational 100%, people may not even go for a webinar and directly visit to the site. But at this point in time, when the crisis situation is there, I believe this is a process just to facilitate the sales and get some traction of what is happening with the client, who are the fence sitters can at least jump into the decision.
Right. But don't you think people would not want to come to the site before that? They would want a video presentation rather. This thing, I believe, is going to stay even post-COVID, because they can maybe visit, they can see 4 projects just sitting in their home. They don't have to go to these 4 projects.
Right.
They can just get a video presentation.
What Abhishek has categorically said, that this is basically to filter out the process. Generally, when you buy a home, you generally visit 7-8 sites in the entire locality, and this takes at least a good amount of month time to figure out which, then only you'll be able to freeze on one or two specific location where you go and actually take the final shot. This
Right.
process of actually going through the entire webinar exercise actually reduce this time, buying time, this turnaround time of freezing out those 8 to 6, 6 to 4, and 4 to 2, maybe in maybe 3, 4, 5 days time. Hence the
Right.
TAT will be reduced. The client still have an option to filter as many sites as possible, and perhaps after that he can visit the day he wants.
Right. So the end users basically will save on time that they, used to spend on visiting 4 sites and then shortlisting. That all process will come online now.
Exactly.
Right. Right. So, one question that I would want to ask you. So, if suppose a person is viewing a property online, this question is to both of you, Nikhil and Abhishek. So, if suppose a person who's an end user and end buyer who wants to look at a property online, when he's checking a property online, what are the aspects of the property that he should be looking at? Because we should make them aware that okay, these are the main aspects that you can look at. You don't have to just look at the elevation. It looks beautiful, but then what other things that he should be looking at when he's looking at a property online? We can start with you, Nikhil.
Nikhil, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. See, as long as buying a property online is concerned, I think after the influx of RERA coming into the picture, I think gone are the days when people or developer can do just any hanky-panky business. Everything has become, at least more or less, have become transparent. Builders are mandated to provide all the legal formalities, all the legal documents has to be provided online there, and it is there for people to see. Everybody can just go to the RERA website and see what all documents have been uploaded by the builder. So I believe as long as the transparency part of it is concerned, every document has been provided by the builder now at the RERA website. But from the customer's perspective, what I feel is, if when you are actually doing the screening of the project, there are 2-3 things which comes to my mind. People generally should go and do it, right? And first, obviously, the registration of RERA is definitely important. What we basically also should try and figure out is know your customer, which is not available on the RERA website. Figure out, know your builder, know your developer. What all track records he has, what all buildings he has completed in past, what is the feedback, what is the reviews he has got on his existing delivered projects. I think these are some important aspects when people should go ahead and figure out what is available for other 2-3 developers which is shortlisting for. Rest all details about the local. Generally, people also can go now and figure out the locality price index, which is available on various aggregator websites, which can give you a small idea and understanding about what is the prevailing rates which are applicable, so that no builder can take you for a ride. I think these are 2-3 things which is generally available for you to see and compare, especially when going on online. And rest all details of builder and the projects and approvals and applications are already available on the website.
Right. Abhishek, what are your thoughts?
So I think Nikhil has covered it well. The checklist doesn't change, due to COVID. Basically, what he mentioned that is very important for any customer to see. In the current time, I think it's become even more attractive with very attractive home loan interest rates, which are there. As I mentioned, a lot of flexible schemes which are there for customers. So based on their profile, certain industry have been impacted more than the other industries in this situation. So they should see whether they should be going in, because there's a lot of notion that customer will prefer ready to move in. But it all depends upon customers' financial planning. If they are not ready to take care of the EMI immediately, despite the lower interest rate, then they should look at under construction buildings, so that it gives them a 1 or 2 year time. So I think that is very important right now, to do your financial planning and understand what kind of property suits you, whether a ready to move in or a near possession, or which gives you about 2 years time to financially plan.
Right. Okay. So I think we've got an idea what we need to check. Now we have a question coming in. We have a lot of questions coming in from people who are attending our webinar. So I would like to take up one question, and I would like to ask Amit to answer it. So there is a question which says, will people prefer buying or would they prefer renting? What would be the preference, and what do you think is a better option in this scenario, buying or renting?
So I don't know if the guy who's asked a question wants to get married. Doesn't want to get married.
Right.
If he wants to get married, I would safely say that most Indian families look at a property or a home as a basic sense of security. So at one point in time, though there are reports of the top bankers in the country, including ICICI, HDFCs, the top banking officials also staying on rent. But I feel that at one point in time, between the age bracket of say about 25 to 40, every Indian has that feeling that I should have a place which I can call my own.
Right.
So I'm not saying go out and buy now and look at the website and identify what we have, come on my website or go to my friends projects. We are not doing all of that. We are saying
Right.
at one point in time you need to stop staying in a rental apartment and have a flat or a premises or a land parcel of your own. Because if you continue to stay in India, the ethos, the ethics, the culture, the tradition, the way people look at you, and all these things matter, right? We've not really met each other, and I'm sure that all of us would say that somewhere or the other we are missing that handshake, right? Even today when I meet with someone, I inadvertently will have my hand going forward, because that's how we are. We are warm people. So I feel that yes, at one point in time one needs to look at buying an apartment, and that is why I am in this business. Otherwise I'll be doing farming or maybe e-commerce. This is the place to be.
Okay. So coming to one more question, I guess the person who's asked has got this answer. We have one more question directed towards Mr. Abhishek. Abhishek, there's a question they are asking, will a developer like Shapoorji be looking at more projects to be launched in the near future? Are you looking at any more land parcels to launch new projects, or do you think for the timing you'll be concentrating on the current ones that you have?
A good question, actually. I was, so what we at Shapoorji, we were kind of building up on the developer front. We are mainly a construction company, and there are a lot of projects which are actually ready with RERA approvals. So we will be doing a assessment of the market and deciding the timing of the launch, because the whole thing changes. We used to have, a lot of customers at our site during the launch phase. So now with social distancing and other norms in place, we'll have to look at that. As far as overall expansion is concerned, I represent the Joyville platform, where we have investors like the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and definitely we're looking at more projects. In the cities where there's a lot of job creation happening, and even at the Shapoorji Pallonji real estate end, there are a lot of pipeline which is there. So definitely all the business plans have to be relooked into, considering the current scenario. But I see that things will be back on track sooner than later.
Okay. Okay, great. One more question that we have is directed towards Kapil. Kapil, do you think, so there's this question where a person is asking, how much more is a person willing to pay for a grade A over a local developer? Like, I suppose he's asking how much should be paid more, for a branded developers, 5%, 10%, what is the kind of premium a person should pay for a branded developer? If in case he wants to choose one.
I think I'll elaborate this answer in a different manner. For example, say if it's a Thana location. Okay. In Thana location, we are seeing in a non-developer, a non-branded developer, the rates are around 85 to 90 lakhs. And in a branded developer, the same flat will be getting it around 1 crore, 10 lakhs. So in areas like Thana and in areas like not the exact Bombay location, a little bit of outskirts, the marginal difference is hardly 10 to 12%. Because the corporates, they are happy with the double-digit figure, 10-12% margin, so they are very happy. So they are not producing. But when you go into the core city, there the margins are on a very higher side. So there I will not be able to comment particularly, but I think 10 to 15% margin is an ideal one where you can go for a branded one, because for the quality of construction. In a local developer compared to a grade A developer, the construction quality matters a lot. And the lot of money which goes into is the construction quality compared to other things. So we are looking at a 10 to 15%.
If I could ask a question, it's a genuine question. I want to ask a question. How do you define margin, and how will you calculate margin today? We have no disclosures coming in. We don't know how much did the builder actually pay. You don't know when did he buy, whether it is in 2008, and how much he's paid under table. November 8th, 2016 came only on November 8th, 2016. So what about 2014? How much has he paid in the 500 and the thousands? So we will have to go by, the developer only saying that, okay, yeah, margin nahi hai, mera profit nahi hai. How do you calculate a real margin? What I say the margin is 50%. Please challenge me.
No, I think if it's a grade A developer, everything is listed on the balance sheet. So we can't deny the fact, and because if you see the grade A developers,
most graded
for one or two developers, all these
the most graded developers have made headlines in Financial Express. and economic times in the last 3 years. So grade A developers, we all know the kind of balance sheets and what they've done to Nifty 50 and BSE and NSE.
Yes.
Going out of the country. And
Hitesh, I just want to come in here.
the
Amit, you make a point.
consumer understands all this. So on a lighter note, I'm just throwing these questions because we all need to answer it. If I'm asking you today, I'm sure at your sales sites, one intelligent guy who is a pre-sales IT engineer is going to ask you questions, and the sales guy will come and tell the guy, sir, मुझे जगह 10 मिनट दीजिए, मैं आपको confirm करके बताता हूँ.
Right.
Yeah, Abhishek, you're pitching in something.
Yeah, so just wanted to come in. There's a notion that grade A developer is charging a premium. So it's not like that. I think what Kapil was trying to also mention is, and I face this day in and day out, that a lot of developers, I will not say corporate developers, a lot of developers follow strict processes. They use advanced technology. They use a lot of research. They use a lot of consultants who improve the product, and there's a cost into it. And plus, all the companies who have corporate governance are very compliant. They follow all the rules. They neither take cash nor pay anything in cash. So that's the reason why the cost of construction is higher. And a lot of developers who are not, having inherited a lot of land bank and who are transacting land, and Amit is aware that land is not going cheap, and it's not nowhere, and nobody's constructing land also. So from that point of view, the margins are lesser, and I can say, because I worked in a couple in good corporates in the last 2-3 years, that in the last 4-5 years, and I've seen that margins are very thin, especially in the affordable and mid-segment housing. Nobody charges premium. Everybody tries to give a value proposition.
Right. Abhishek,
Yeah,
now that we're talking about affordable
sorry,
housing.
can I pitch in
Yeah,
something?
sure.
I think the client even has to understand, when he wants to compare between a branded and a local developer, he should be always comparing with an apple to an apple, not an apple to an orange. For example, this we face classic when we sell Abhishek's Virar project. His project is around G+24 over there, and the rest of the projects are G+7. Okay, the client starts arguing that yes sir, इसमें आपको 30 लाख में मिल रहा है, आपका 40 लाख क्यों? So even before comparing that, he has to understand the construction required for a G+7 building compared to a G+27 floor building is very different. The amenities required for a clubhouse, the amenities required for an elevator, if it's an Otis one or if it's a local one. So he has to understand before he compares it. So that is the major portion.
Sorry, as Indian consumers, मैं क्यों समझूं वो? I am an Indian consumer. मुझे क्या करना है? आपने कितने क्या रेट पे जमीन ली? आपने क्या, आपके नुकसान हुआ? आपने HDFC पे डिफॉल्ट किया कि SBI पे किया? आपने लोन लिया क्यों? आपने अंडरराइटर को और वैल्यूएटर को अपने प्रोजेक्ट की वैल्यूएशन ज्यादा बता के ज्यादा कंस्ट्रक्शन फंडिंग ली. आपने जब भी आपके पास में ऑफर आया तो उस समय आपने माल बेचा नहीं, क्योंकि आपको चाहिए था कि 500 रुपया ज्यादा मिले. जब सरकार कह रही है कि पार्किंग का पैसा आपको नहीं लेना है, तभी भी आपने पार्किंग का पैसा लिया. फ्लो राइज के लिए आपने डील छोड़ दी. कैम 1 चार्जेस, कैम 2 चार्जेस, कैम 3 चार्जेस, टैम चार्जेस, all of that, मेंटेनेंस एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट के लिए आपने डील्स छोड़ी है कि नहीं? मैं आपकी जनरल बात बोल रहा हूँ. लास्ट डील छोड़ी है, फिर जब 3 दिन वो क्लाइंट जवाब नहीं देता है तो आप फोन करके पूछते हो, सर क्या हो गया, कुछ बैठना है तो चलो.
Coming in on this, Amit, we have a question.
No grade A. In my view, there is no grade A, there is no grade B. Today, I just take a minute. The buyer says, my mom and my wife has told me, this is 50 lakh rupees. ये 50 लाख में कुछ मिलता है तो लेके आना. 51 लाख रुपीस भी मत देना. चाहे आप ग्रेड A हो या ग्रेड C हो, मेरा बजट यही है, बजट में चाहिए.
Right. So, we have a question, Amit, for you. The question is, now that your forte is in sales, I think we have someone from the developers community here on the attendees list, and he's asked, what do you suggest for non-branded developers who are sitting on large inventories but are not financially leveraged much? Also, what do you feel about the new self-development scheme put out by the government? So, basically he's asking now, what do these developers do, with these large inventories that they have? What strategy can you give them?
The strategy is very simple. You need to get in touch with my business development team. You go to a knee replacement surgeon and tell him that, look, I want to get a knee replacement surgery done. I'm not going to take you to the OT and tell you, अच्छा ये ऐसे होता है, ये ऐसे होता है. I will get it done for you as long as you want it. So on a serious note, this is the era of super speciality. I'm not saying that you hire Sai or you hire Analog or you hire Square Yards. All of us doing some fantastic jobs. It takes a lot of meat, a lot of guts to do what we are doing today. And it is the era of super speciality. If you're, say, a branded or a non-branded developer, you really want to, and it's not only about sales, it's about pre-sales, it's about content, it's about digital lead generation, it's about handling the customer, it's about recovery. Most large builders around the world have a problem called, I have sold stock, but I'm not able to recover monies. And there is no professional agency in India which can say, okay, you give me 600 crores of your books and client details. I will recover this 600 crores over the next 3 years so that you can reduce your debt and also execute your project. So that's your answer number one. You need to hire a super specialist.
True.
Second question is that if you, sorry, if you could tell me what was the second question?
Just give me a second. I'm coming on that question. So they wanted to know about the government's rule on the self-redevelopment.
Yeah. So typically one needs to understand that the government will try and do whatever they can do, but every individual developer will have to understand and take every project as a special project. We cannot say that this Chembur ka bhav kya hai, Noida ka bhav kya hai, Indore ka bhav kya hai. We cannot do that. We need to look at, and I'm telling you, life in Indian real estate changes every 8 months, and the property pricing and absorption trends changes every 100 meters. If you are in PCMC, you move 100 meters away from the from the Bombay-Pune highway, the price is very different. You are at Ghatkopar East, you move 100 meters into a different zone, the pricing is very different. So every project needs to be dealt with sensitivity and to be treated as a special project.
Right. Coming to you, Nikhil, we have a question here asking, what do you think? What option for an investor or an end user is better, under construction or ready possession? So I would like to ask you, when you're at Kolte Patil, what kind of inventory you're seeing more demand for? Are you seeing more demand for the ready possession inventories that you have?
Yeah, I think RTMI properties are always in demand. People generally prefer, because of whatever past experiences they have, generally people prefer to buy in the properties which they see and then can just walk in and just start living in, primarily to avoid the double burden on EMI as well as rental of the existing property. So RTMI definitely is the flavor of the market at this point in time. But considering the point of option where we're talking about under construction apartments, I'm sure the builder, as Abhishek has also said, is looking for more of the flexibility options. So when there is under construction building proposition is on the platter, I think builder is more flexible at this point in time because there are so much of changes which can be absorbed and there's so much of flexibility in terms of payment option or maybe booking options can be provided. So looking at what is the current payment condition of the buyer, I'm sure looking at that, he can choose the option. But yes, nonetheless, the RTMI properties definitely is a flavor of the from the time at this point in time.
Kapil, would you like to add on that? What is the kind of response you're seeing from people who are coming in for your projects?
Okay, before answering this question, basically sales is my passion. Every weekend now also you'll find me facing some customers, selling some flat in my sole mandated projects. So every client I face, okay, the first question is, sir, आपके पास ready में कुछ है क्या? Okay. Unanimously, universally, everywhere. Okay. Now, since we are sales guys, we know what to sell and how to sell. But understand, after in the last couple of years, so many developers have defaulted. You know, जो एक default होता है, उसको news और paper इतना बड़ा करके बताते हैं कि every developer in this country is a defaulter. Okay, right. So that creates a very, very bad impression on the client.
तो वो brokers को भी नहीं छोड़ती है media.
सर आप तो सेलिब्रिटी, आपको कैसे छोड़ेंगे?
नहीं मैंने अपनी बात की नहीं. I'm not talking about myself.
Okay, so every client first question is, I want something in ready. Okay, a lot of clients I see come up saying that sir मेरा वो builder के पास है ना पैसा फंसा हुआ है, 10 लाख रुपए वो बिल्डिंग भी नहीं बना रहा है, तो I know I don't want to get into the same. So please give to me something is it's ready. Okay, he is ready to buy a flat which has no view, which has got no ventilation, that odd flat also he's ready to buy at a premium than to compared to under construction which is a better. और दूसरा major problem क्या होता है, developer is not offering him any incentive for a under construction versus a ready. Almost अगर ready flat मेरा 10 लाख में है, sorry 1 करोड़ में है, तो under construction वाला भी 96 या 97 lakhs में या 1 करोड़ 3 लाख में, which is on higher, उससे better quality है, better amenities.
I think there's some issues with his internet. So, till the time we have him back, one question towards Amit. We have someone from the broker community who's asking you, how would the brokers survive in this scenario? If you could give some advice to the brokers in the market, how to survive.
That's an awesome question. I will try and put that in bullet points. Number one is you need to stop working at 2%. Straight and up. You need to stop working at 2-3%. The entire industry functions at any other industry functions starting about 7-8% to about 15%. The advertising industry functions at 15%. The developers are going to need you. The aggregators, the contractors, the investors, the second sales guys are going to need you. So we all need to come together, which is we've been talking about. But even if we don't come together, you need to ensure that you stop working at 2 or 3%. You can go up to a developer, tell him that I will help you sell stock, but this is could be a 4 or a 5%, which is number one. So that even if you do lesser number of deals, you are able to invest money in your business and also take some profits out of it. Number two is we need to stop saying that we are sales guys and mujhe bechna aata hai. You understand, the gentleman, was just speaking earlier, I respect his passion. But the minute you say, मैं ये बेच के दे दूंगा, मैं बहुत बढ़िया सेल्स वाला हूँ, कंज्यूमर को आप पे विश्वास नहीं आएगा. You need to come out clean, clear communication. Tell him that the RERA website says December of 2020, but sir मुझे नहीं लगता है होगा. प्राइस अच्छा है, बिल्डर अच्छा शरीफ है, एग्जीक्यूट कर लेगा, एक 6 महीना आगे जा सकता है, तो आप ये पकड़ के चलो. The more clarity of communication, when you speak the truth, he will feel that you are really on his side and you're not really trying to make a quick money. That is point number 2. Point number 3, which is most important, is that start using technology and communication tools to your advantage. Start using more WhatsApp messages, more text messages, non-verbal communications, more mailers, and do not take one number and email ID for, I've been saying this, a number and email ID is not a lead. You cannot call it a lead. It is a human being. It is somebody in bones and flesh. The person needs warmth, understanding. The person needs you to say that, okay, sir, between 3 to 6 is not a good time. Can I speak to you at 6:30? Small things. When you go to a sub-registrar's office and the client's thumb goes in that blue thing, the blue pad ink, how many of us are offering that tissue? I mean, I have been a Jet Airways flight steward at one point in time. But these are smaller, finer aspects that the customer will remember. One last point, most of these guys who are purchasing flats today are either taking home loans. 93% of buyers are taking home loans. Please stop taking cuts from banks on home loans. It creates a very bad impression. You're making 2 lakh rupees of brokerage on an apartment, and you're also gunning for 40,000 rupees from the poor guy's home loan kickback. If he comes to know, he will never come back to you. So be focused. If you're a real estate broker, do it with full dignity and negotiate with your builders. Give free service to your customers. Don't take kickbacks from the banks. These are a few points I can think of.
Yeah.
I would like to add something here to what Amit is saying, Hitesh, because I am also taking care of the channel partner business for Kulte Patil. I think one important point with what Amit is saying to add to it is, I think you need to get selective. Gone are the time of master of one and trade of all jacks.
Yeah.
Because this is the time when you should go very selective about the builders with whom you've got good relationship in past, and you are very sure who can manage your cash flows in time, who can release your payments in time, who you can dependent on at the time of crisis. I think go selective, choose 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 builders of your choice where you've got relationships going, and then work accordingly. Don't actually not this is not the time when you can just select 20, 30, 40 builders in a town and start running your team, because your team sizes are not going to double up or 300, 400, 500, and just you can cater to everybody. Hence go selective, control costs, and focus on 3, 4, 5, 6 builders, and then I'm sure the business will start performing.
Absolutely. And don't spend too much time in builder offices. The more time you spend in builder offices, आपका reputation और आपकी अहमियत उतनी कम हो गई है. आप अपना काम करो, एक चाय पियो और निकलो. क्योंकि आप पूरा दिन वहीं पड़े रहोगे ना, तो आपकी वैल्यू वही रहेगी. वो सोचेगा ये तो दलाल है, ये तो मेरे साइट ऑफिस में पड़ा रहता है पूरा दिन. We need to start changing perception. Indian developers sell, sir, 73% of Indian unsold stock. The largest developer in the country is the largest developer in the country without taking any brand names, is because real estate brokers have sold apartments. Housing.com ने वो फ्लैट नहीं बेचे हैं सर, हमारे ब्रोकर्स ने भेजे हैं. और हमारे जो ब्रोकर्स हैं, जो दलाल हैं, जो रेगा रजिस्टर्ड है, उन्होंने ये फ्लैट्स बेचे हैं. और ये सारे जो डेवलपर्स हैं, ये ब्रोकर्स को सिर्फ एक 5 स्टार या 7 स्टार में खाना खिला के और दारू पिला के माल बिक जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है. I am sure my brokers are more evolved. There is the younger generation out of these schools are choosing broking as a full-time profession, and I am sure 2020 to 2025, the next 5 years, as far as real estate is concerned, this 5 years belong to the broking industry.
True. I think, even when we are catering to agents for the digital marketing needs, a lot of brokers we see just treat leads like, they have to connect the builder with the lead and the job is done. I think it is to be beyond that. You have to really interact with the client, know his requirement, know what he wants, understand that client, and only then maybe come along with him onto the site. These brokers, a lot of brokers these days are catering to 50 projects, and because of that they don't have the bandwidth to interact with each and every client, and hence I think they are losing out on business and they don't have referral clients. So I think even one point that I could add is, obviously you need to interact with your client, and you have to understand his requirement to go forward in times, because there are a lot of people now, there are companies who are saying no broker, and then we obviously are there to help brokers, and we are helping them with digital marketing services. But beyond just lead generation, there's a lot to do for brokers. Okay, so coming to the next question towards Abhishek, we have a question which a guy is asking: what all documents should one seek from developers while buying a property? If you could just enlighten them on that.
So I think RERA has enabled that, almost all the documents which a buyer should be seeing in terms of the building plan approvals, in terms of, all the amenities which will be provided, the payment timeline. Also important is when these amenities will be provided, because we have seen in the market, there have been disputes in terms of a bigger project, a phase has been delivered, but amenities have not been delivered. So I think these are the important things which they should see. And these are available on RERA website. Plus, a lot of developers also are very transparent, and all these documents are available at the sales offices. I think it's important that a customer does an informed sales, and developers and real estate advisors, should ensure that this is done and a customer has taken an informed decision.
Okay. One more question that we have for you here is: do you think with the shortage of labor, now that we know that migrant laborers have gone back to the villages, do you think that will impact the delivery of the projects, and will it impact big time, or do you think it will just be a matter of 3-6 months before they are back? And how are you coping up with
definitely the labor issue is going to impact everybody. As I mentioned, for all, for real estate we cannot be generic. It all depends upon location to location. So for Joyville, if I can tell you, I was talking to my project head some time back, and we have 4 sites, out of which 3 are having full construction. One of the sites we have now delivered, the product is ready. We were kind of maintaining about 1600 to 1800 laborers during the lockdown phase, and out of which 60-70% of laborers had shown intent to stay back. But with all the people were paranoid about the lockdown, and once the trains were started, we are from 1600 we have come down to 200. So definitely there's going to impact, but I think the way we have scheduled it, there's always some sort of a planning which is done for crisis situation. And also RERA for each state has given some additional timelines considering the fact that, this has been lost. So at Joyville, we will ensure that, we are able to deliver the project within the timelines, the extended timelines which RERA has provided. You would have seen a lot of media reporting that, now we are getting the migrant laborers back. Situation is improved a lot in NCR region. For regions like Mumbai, which are on the hotspot, laborers are still worried about coming back. So I think it's going to take time, and definitely there's an impact. And that's the reason why, a lot of planning will be required to do in terms of how do you, manage your construction schedule. And there are some other things which you can do prior, with the limited labor which is there at the site. So at Shapurji, we will ensure that, all the projects are delivered on time with the extension given by RERA.
Okay. And would you like to add on that, Nikhil? How are you guys handling the situation with this pandemic?
Yeah, surely, Atish. In fact, I am sure that you know that there's a force majeure clause which is already mentioned in RERA, which actually allows you for such type of calamities which builder can actually avail of. So there is a clause already mentioned in RERA. But as long as Kulte Park developers is concerned at this point in time, I am, because the RERA thing coming into the picture, and we are very, very proactive on what we can commit to the client. There's a buffer generally people take. All the developers, I'm very sure that every developer work is some type of a buffer in their hand which they commit onto the RERA. So that buffer, I'm sure, is actually vanished off now at this point in time. But surely, I'm sure that as we see, go forward and the labor issues start to resolve at maybe 3-4 months down the line, I'm sure things will be back in place, and all the timelines which we have committed on RERA will be definitely met. Yes, the buffer, as long as the buffer, which was 5-6 months of buffer which builder must have taken, must have eliminated now.
Okay. Okay. So we have one more question that has come in, and it's been coming in for quite some time. Do you think now redevelopment will be affected? Will builders put their hands into redevelopment of projects? Abhishek, if you would like to answer that question.
I would have limited, say, because I don't have much of experience. My platform also not focused on redevelopment. Of course, we have a company called SD Corp, which is big way into redevelopment. Obviously, what I can mention is redevelopment is governed by a lot of government policies. So how the government reacts in terms of the redevelopment policies will definitely be, I think Amit can show more light.
Yeah, Hitesh, can I go ahead?
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so society's self-redevelopment is going to be a big hit. I'm very bullish about it. Let me tell you about what it is. It is a scenario where we eliminate the builder out of the equation. You see a lot of these large societies negotiating with the builder, talking about more area, more corpus, more rentals. But and most of the deals do not go through because the private developer is not able to match up to the expectations of the society owners. So somebody could be a 20-year-old boy, somebody else could be a 80-year-old senior citizen. So putting everybody together on the same page was a difficult task. The society's self-redevelopment is a concept wherein a large PSU bank or a district cooperative banks backed by the state and the center comes in and provides all the kind of funding. The developer acts as a PMC, or there is a specialized PMC that does the coordination work of ensuring that the execution of the project is taken care of. In simpler words, societies to choose with a developer, to choose a developer and then risk the entire execution for the next 5 years basis. So dynamic the entire industry is. If the developer finances changes, positioning changes, then the entire society is exposed to a huge risk. But instead of partnering and depending financially on a developer, which is a private party, the societies can now depend on a bank, which is a state bank or a central bank, which is more dependable, which will not cause delays. The minute you need, say, about 5 crores of steel, you send the challan to the bank, the payment is made. So execution is faster. There is greater transparency. There is no developer in the equation. The maximum potential of the plot is distributed equally amongst the society members. Okay, so all are these things, and a lot of my developer friends and clients who would genuinely want to believe that there is no margin in doing a private project are now saying that I'm happy to work at a PMC fees of 8%, 10%, 12%. And
Okay.
I'm not going to put in my money, let the money come in from the bank. I will do the coordination and I'm happy taking a fees of anywhere between 8 to 12%. So this is a big, big, big hit. I feel with more awareness, this concept needs to be told more often. Banks need to do more webinars and more events to educate societies. And I think this will be a great concept going forward.
Great.
I would
think,
like to add here, Ritesh, if you allow.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, we at KPDL actually have got this one of the redevelopment projects going on in Mumbai at this point in time. And I would say and agree and admit that basically this is a very specialized stream if you talk about it. Not everybody will put their hands on this project because obviously there are so much of laws and things are involved into it. And it is also very subjective to specifically to metropolitan, especially Mumbai metropolitan market, where people are actually coming up with so much of options of redevelopment. In other cities, if you talk about which are definitely growing at this point in time, like a Nagpur or a Nasik or a Pune, I'm sure this stream has hold a fantastic future, but will take some time to maybe step up in other smaller B town cities to come up. As long as Mumbai is concerned, I'm sure whatever Amit has said is actually has to be taken care very, very diligently, and then a special purpose vehicle should be installed, and then all these guys need to come together to maybe frame up the policies to bring it together.
Right. Okay. Great. I think that answers the question in a very good way. So we have Kapil back on the panel. I think he had some technical issues. So So the next question again, this is something that we had before the webinar, and we would like to direct that towards Abhishek. Do you think with the current pandemic, the NRI market would really be the next big thing? NRIs. Do you see NRIs coming back and buying in your projects?
So, obviously, rupee depreciation is something which has always kind of excited the NRIs. With the home loan interest being at low, with all the flexibility and attractive offers, it's a good time for them. But NRIs have been very selective. Most of these NRIs are investors who are leveraging, and they pick and choose a lot of locations. So I see Pune as a location where they invest a lot. Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, this is the triangle where they invest a lot. And definitely it's a good time for them to invest. With NRIs, there's always been uncertainty about which developer to go for, and hence obviously they go for developers who have delivered and have a good track record. So for these markets, we have seen a good traction for NRIs, whereas for other markets like, for example, NCR, we have seen a limited traction there.
Okay. Nikhil, with Kolte Patil, we've seen you guys doing a lot of NRI campaigns. How has the response been? What are you seeing? Are you seeing an increased demand from the NRIs for your projects?
Yeah, to be very honest with you, Hitesh, in fact, since the day this wave of nationalism has come in, right after Mr. Narendra Modi has become the Prime Minister of India, I think the wave of nationalism which is basically flowing in, I'm sure it is doing wonders for our NRI business as well. And I'm sure you know that India is basically the top remittance recipient in the world today, with around $80 billion coming in every year to country. And out of this $80 million, almost half of it gets spent in real estate buying. So I'm sure real estate, as long as NRI market is concerned, NRI buying preferences are concerned, is looking very, very strong. In last couple of years, if you see, we have actually expanded to various countries in the world now, and we have gone as far-fetched as South Africa now and started to get some sales from there. And we have been getting really super response from NRI market. Yes, as long as the sales part of it is concerned, I think that the sales has been tilted towards residential now, which was primarily very, very strong for commercial maybe a year back. But now this entire stream of buying NRI is actually tilting towards residential, because despite of the fact that the residential yields are still at 2 to 3%, and the commercial are still fetching around 7-8%, but still we are seeing this trend that more and more NRI actually jumping in, but towards the residential market, which is going very, very strong for KPDL is concerned.
Great. I would like to bring in Kapil now. He's been away for quite long. Kapil, what kind of offers do you see coming in the market? Developers are really thinking out of the box with the current situation. So what are the offers one can expect, in such times, maybe fully furnished homes or something like that? Could you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, I think in such current scenario, payment holiday option would be the best one which any developer can get in. Okay, because a lot of clients are very uncertain at this point of time. कि आगे क्या होगा? What would be the next 3 months? How will the business be? The best option would be a payment holiday option for the next 3 months or 6 months, where you can get a little bit of comfort to settle with the finances, and then you can continue with the registration. The payment holiday option will be one. Second will be a builder subvention, but nowadays this builder subvention is very funny. A lot of developers who have launched a builder subvention, they clear cut mentioned it that, sir, if you want to go for a construction link payment plan, so this is a cost of say 90 lakh rupees, and if you want to go the builder subvention scheme, then you have to pay 1 crore rupees. That's 8 lakh rupees or 10 lakhs extra. So man, you can't do that. You can fool the customer every time. So I think builder subvention scheme without actual price hikes or the charging the interest burden from the client would be a very good option. Where builder has to little bit negotiate on his margins. But I think the 1090 scheme in a proper manner, where there will not be any extra interest charged to the client, is a very good scheme. And fully furnished homes, I don't think so itna farak aayega, because it's always whenever we offer this scheme, the client always comes up and says ki, no yeah, I want to do it interior as per my this thing. So always client asks for a discount instead of that furniture homes. So I think payment holiday and 1090 would be the biggest offers which we'll be seeing in near future.
Right. Okay, so we have one more question that has come in. I think that is directed towards Amit. Amit, what do you think about government step? Are you seeing government taking any steps towards reviving the economy of towards reviving real estate as an industry? Do you see anything happening here? Maybe cutting down of stamp duty. You've been talking to so many people in so many webinars.
Yeah.
And with Piyush Goyal day before yesterday, saying that you need to cut down the prices, and what exactly do you see happening?
So we have heard the Honorable Minister talk about it, and there has been constant movement there. But I would choose to differ from people who would say that the government is not doing enough. I'm sure there is a lot of thought that is being given at the moment, and the Honorable Minister also spoke about certain reduction in the ready reckoner prices as a possibility in days to come. There has been a 25,000 crore, which I understand is a very meager amount of bailout package for Indian developers. But you know what? If I create a lot of mess and keep creating a lot of mess, I cannot go back to my mom and say to clean it up every time I create a lot of mess. We need to understand that. I'm happy to face criticism for this, but there was no scientific approach when we created all this. We did not really get into researching whether these units are required or no. So in fact, just as a matter of fact, hearing the Honorable Minister, we have written to the Honorable Minister, and the copy of the letter is available on my LinkedIn platform, wherein we are offering them two sorts of solutions. And I believe that companies like SECCPL and the developers can also adopt this strategy. Yes, the government will help you. Yes, the ready reckoner values will go down, stamp duty marginally will go down, GST will go down. All those wishes will come true over a period of time. But can you also show your intent by saying that this quarter I sold more, my collection is this much, I repaid some bit of my debt? So I think tali do haathon se bajti hai. So as the government will do what is important, but if you have, unless I don't know if my developers have created stock because they love creating stock as a hobby, they're going to keep everything for themselves. Agar aapne maal banaya hai bechne ke liye to becho. And hire a super specialist, and that's what we've written to the Honorable Minister, that you get SECCPL as a government accreditation, give us some sort of a recognition, and then show us, say, stock worth 10,000 crores or maybe 25,000 crores for the developers who are ready and are syncing their ideology with the government, and we will help you sell those 25,000 crore over a period of next 3 years. Let us form a tripartite MOU let us also talk about getting some funding to real estate broking companies and PropTech apart from
Right.
giving thousands of crores to developers. This is the time I think you should give some money. If not, maybe 1 lakh crore, even 1,000 crore, between you and me and companies like us will help us to liquidate a lot than really, adding to the mess is my take on the subject.
True. I think that was like music to our ears. Now, we had this one question, and I would like to, change it a bit because I think that is the better way of putting it. Why do you think now people will need real estate brokers more than ever? Amit, if you would like to answer that,
मैं
for
आपको
the
ये
end
बात
user.
बताता हूँ, ये है ना, आपने अपनी आंखें बंद कर ली है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि दुनिया बंद हो गई है. एक बिल्ली को लगेगा कि if I have shut my eyes, the world does not exist. That's not the case. The world, real estate industry, the banking industry always needed real estate brokers. The problem is that we did not really treat the real estate brokers with the kind of rewards that we should have treated them with, the kind of payouts that we needed to give. Tell me one developer who will pay a broker before a steel manufacturer. आपका आरएमसी वाले को पहले पैसे दोगे या रियल एस्टेट ब्रोकर को पहले पैसे दोगे? सच बात बताइए. This is for everyone. So you have always focused on execution and your architects and your premiums. I know close to about thousands of builders. They always focus on, अगर मुझे प्रीमियम पे करना है, I have to pay my open area deficit, I have to pay for my TDR and my fungible, but nobody talks about paying a broker, because आपको पता है कि पैसे नहीं भी दोगे तो भी वो आके काम करेगा. So having said this, I feel that it was always that the broker is necessary. The numbers I've indicated. You go to the research report of Knight Frank, you see how much stock has been sold. You look at research reports of Anarock and JLL, how many stock in south of India is sold by brokers, how much in Punjab is sold by brokers. West Bengal, Trump Towers. Who has sold Trump Towers, West Bengal? Who sold Trump Towers, for that matter, in Mumbai also? Right? Everything has been from luxury to affordable to slums to Mahada to land to warehousing to retail to paying guest. Everything is done by brokers, right? It is only a matter of time that you stand tall and say that if you want me to work, then I will work at this value. I want to be treated like this. I want this voucher to be signed that you will pay me in those days. And then let's talk about this.
Right.
Hitesh, I would like to add here what Amit is saying. From the point of view of, as long as broker part is concerned, whereas when we say there is no denying of the fact that in last couple of years, the contribution of real estate channel partners have actually gone many folds. And every project which is actually talking about their success stories, I think the one thing which is behind their back is the channel partner penetration. So channel partner actually act as as an extended arm of a builder which cannot go and penetrate nooks and corners of the country today, which actually the channel partner is actually providing. But considering the fact that when we're talking about a broker, let's redefine this entire terminologies between broker and a channel partner. A broker is someone who just gives you a lead, as Amit has rightly said, is a email ID and a mobile number. But the role of a channel partner, I think, is what builder is also associating very, very largely with. And this is the reason why they say is a channel partner. So I'm actually partnering you in my own business. So let's not deviate from the fact that yes, they are the third party and they are actually facilitating the builder. But yes, when you talk about that you are acting as a partner to the developer and solving his problems and in a time of crisis, I think the relationship goes a very long way. But if you're acting just like a broker who's just providing a lead and getting away with it, I think this will not it's a far-fetched statement at this point in time.
I would say whether you call us brokers, channel partners, directors, or you call us Pappu also, I don't care. As long as you pay us on time, you give us more respect, also take our bodies more seriously. And also when there is a reverse repo change, when Honorable Nirmala Sitharaman says something in the plush articles about, the business owners and developers and, respected Deepak Parekh Saab, we should also have two brokers quote also in that article to say कि भाई ये broker ground zero पे क्या सोचता है, 70% माल बेच गए हैं, आप हमें जो चाहे वो बुला सकते हैं, आपको जो नाम पसंद है सर आप वो बुलाइए, लेकिन ब्रोकर्स का जो अधिकार है और उनको ज्यादा दीजिए. Matlab, this is my general statement. Is what
No,
I'm.
there is no denying on it, Amit. I'm completely with you on the same. I'm completely with you on the same. There is no denying of the fact that brokers need to be, get to the next platform now, and hence we said that you should better your relationship with the existing builders, and hence I'm sure the sky's the limit after that.
Okay. Do we have Kapil on the panel? Kapil, are you there?
Yeah. I'm there.
Would you
Hitesh,
like
can
to?
you
Yeah.
actually repeat the question once again?
I wanted to. Okay, just give me a second.
You want to understand what is the role of a real estate broker or how it's going to change? What do you want? What was the question actually?
No, I think it was revolving around both the aspects. I think one of the aspects that you could cover is what is the role of real estate brokers in the transaction now? Will they be needed now more than ever?
Okay, let me put it in a different manner. Let's classify the brokers or channel partners, what we call them. Okay, there are two kind of markets existing. One is a primary market and one is a secondary market. The primary market is जो बड़े developers जो IPOs ला रहे हैं, launches ला रहे हैं. Here the major participants are IPCs, your international property consultants. These guys are all well educated, and we have counts in the terms of hardly 10-20 people who are an IPC category. These people are well educated. They know how to adapt to the current scenarios. Right now, if you see last 2 months, people have used so much of social media and digital media that even they forgot that they were supposed to receive a newspaper every day in the morning. Now the newspaper has become a TOA app. So these people know how to generate leads. But there is a second category of brokers, and the major, it's in lakhs. Okay, these are part-time brokers, or these people will need a lot of technological support from you guys, like the Propertist or any other digital marketing company. You guys have to actually conduct training sessions for them, how to generate leads online. You have to come out with certain packages which can actually be affordable and they can buy it. You have to make them understand what are 360 presentations. They have to start using what is Google Street View, how they can list a property in the Google Street, and how actually the client can see it. So I think you guys will have a major role to in this industry, in this segment of the brokers, to help them with the new client acquisition. I think
the technology part basically is what you're trying to say.
Technology will take over, as we have already said that this is the dawn of a new era. You will see more of
Kapil, I think you're facing some technical issues. I think we've got the point. Obviously, real estate brokers would be needed now, and they need to really change the way they operate in the business currently. They need to know the clients. They need to, interact with all of the clients.
360 views, more of presentations, everything happens. See, a lot of brokers now carrying an iPad. Role of broker will not change, but
Kapil, I think you're facing some internet issues. Could you look into that, please?
Yeah, I think I'm betting. Actually, there's a power cut in my place, so I'm not able to connect. Really, excuse for that.
Not a problem. So we would like to sum it up. I think it's already been 1.5 hours. And closing thoughts from you, Abhishek. What do you think? How are you changing and adapting to the changing times? What steps have you taken, and what are your key takeaways?
No, so I think my closing thought would be that real estate has been an unorganized sector, and we have not been adopting to technology. There was a report by Google that adaptation of technology across various industries, whatever we have done in the last 2 months, would have taken probably 2 years or more. So I think we have come a long way now in terms of ensuring that we train our teams, ensuring we train our partners how to use these platforms like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. We've also created an online tool which will help our sales teams to engage with the customers, to explain to them kind of a real-time experience of the site. But eventually, customers would like to come to the site, feel the location, feel the product. So from that point of view, where we were in April with a lot of uncertainties, I think we are able to see some light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously it is steepened that this corona is not going to go anywhere in a hurry. We have to live with this. This is the new normal. As now from 8 June onwards, we are able to now open our offices, open most of our sites. We expect that with following all these new norms, we get customers who are coming in. We have seen early trends that younger age group inquiries have increased, some sort of initial level of inquiries is increased. We also see a trend where a lot of customers who are living on rent have come forward, and obviously it has been an end user market for long, which is a very good sign, because once you ready a project, and you should see people living in. I've been part of many projects in the affordable category, very far away from Mumbai, where people have sold the stock, but they are still ghost towns. So from that point of view, I see that there are a lot of positives in it. Obviously, in terms of how the economy goes, the real impact is going to come in some time. And the fact that while we are now looking forward to unlock, the cases are not going anywhere. So in terms of how it goes, would be so some uncertainty will be there in the coming time. But I think we still have a way forward, and we are moving forward. I see a lot of people in industry moving forward. A lot of our partners are moving forward. So I'm very positive that things will come on track, and let's hope that a vaccine is developed sooner than later.
Great. What about you, Nikhil? What are your closing thoughts? How have you been adapting to the change?
I think what I see is that every crisis has a silver lining, and this is what Capital Group also sees this entire period as. And we also realized that in last 3-4 months time, we have also there's so much of changes we've actually been brought in. Not only as an organization we have evolved, not only as a product offering we have evolved, not only that we have become more flexible in terms of whatever offering we have, but I'm sure that the positivity which is coming in from the reports and the surveys which are happening, which says that real estate actually has become one of the topmost priority for all the millennials who are actually coming in and buying in homes now. And it gives you so much of security and physical security more so that if you own a home in your in a place of work. So I'm sure all these things actually have given us a good thought, and all the digital influx which is coming in is making things much easier for us to go forward, to take this forward. I'm very hopeful and very positive that coming times will be much brilliant and much more better, not only for builders but for the customers as well. If there is a good time to buy a property, I'm sure that it is coming now.
Amit, what are your thoughts?
So quickly, I'll maybe say one thing for every custodian of the industry. As far as the banks are concerned, with infused liquidity, I feel the banks need to be more cautious when you give out loans, because you cannot really afford to take this mortgage and then come out with results 2 years later that the EMIs are not doing well. So that is a word of caution for the banks. As far as the NBFCs are concerned, I would request with folded hands the NBFCs to stay out of real estate for a few years, so that we don't need to clean up the mess in 2022. Let us clean up what you've done in the last 5 years over the next 2 years. As far as the investors are concerned, I would say that you look at a project from a minimum 15 to 20 year horizon. If you don't have a 15 to 20 year horizon, then please don't enter real estate, because you entering real estate at this point and making 40% payment and then saying that the remaining 60 cannot be paid creates more problems for anyone else, including the developer.
Right.
The consumers need to understand that you need to show the mothers, the ladies, the wives, the sisters, the children, the apartment, and ask them, aapko ye pasand aaya hai kya? So don't talk about pricing first. Don't talk about drone videos and stuff like this. Yes, you can look at all of that, but you need to ask people who are going to stay in that apartment and buy real estate only when you're going to consume it. The way you buy a t-shirt, the way you buy a phone, the way you buy your shoe, that's how you need to look at real estate. If you cannot consume it, it is not an asset. And then don't go ahead and buy it. And then for my broker friends, I would like to say that you can join the IMSI network, because I've been on the panel and I would take some mileage out of it. But then on a serious note, is to choose wisely, as Nikhil also suggested, Abhishek also said about brokers. And मुझे लगता है कि स्वाभिमान जो है वो brokers के लिए ज़्यादा important है. Ensuring that you guys tell the world that a member of parliament can be a broker. If in the next 2024 can also have a member of parliament who is a broker, you can also, let's stop segregating between institutional channel partners. Let me tell you, all institutional channel partners, if you really want to know, are not really making money. the person who is making money is the guy who has a 10 by 10 shop at Chembur camp or somewhere in Surat or Baroda, who is making real money and taking money back home. And your broker is the guy who will take your phone even on a Sunday evening at 5 o'clock at a mall and tell the client, sir, मैं अभी आता हूँ आधे घंटे में, अभी आता हूँ, किसी को भेजता हूँ. तो ये सारी कला सारे इंडस्ट्री में नहीं है. तो आप लोगों को ये बताना जरूरी है कि मैं ब्रोकर हूँ, नो प्रॉब्लम. और कोई फैंसी वर्ड से बुलाने की जरूरत नहीं है. चाहे आपको चैनल पार्टनर बुलाएं, इवेंजलिस्ट बुलाएं, या जो बुलाना चाहते हैं बुला सकते हैं, बट अल्टीमेटली आप जो काम कर रहे हो वो तारीफे काबिल है. And most importantly, media plays a very important role. And Hitesh, you've done a great job here. You've actually been the media for us, all of us. Media needs to talk good about industry. Even if I don't talk about good, don't take my quotes, don't take my interviews, but the industry has to talk good things about each other, because the world is watching us. You know, that is pretty much my side of the story. Thank you.
Thank you. Kapil, do we have you yet? Can you hear us?
I think I can hear you, but I don't know I'm audible or not.
Yeah, very much audible. Any closing thoughts?
Yes, I think, like the seasons come and go, like summers come and go, winters come and go. This is a time of little bit, mandi, the word is the best word. But don't worry, after Mandi, Teji will come. Okay, our socks pulled up, our efforts will increase, but okay, the end result will always be good. I don't think this time will last for a longer time, and very shortly we will see everything opening up, and I think we should be charged enough, and happy selling.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think with that we would like to end our seminar. It's been more than an hour and 45 minutes, but we have all the participants yet clued in. Thank you all for coming on the board, coming on the Zoom call. We would have more such webinars. As Amit said, we would want to spread out a message regarding the real estate and the industry for all the stakeholders. Keep watching. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hitesh.
Thank you, Hitesh.
Thank you.
Abhishek.
Thank you for being on the
Amit.
panel.
Thank you, Kapil.
Nikhil, Kapil, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.